Welcome to the Bright Ideas Podcast.
Tell us a little bit about how you started exploring brand partnerships. So I know that there's an Island, Kanga Cooler. So what was that like, and how did those begin, and how do you kind of seek those out, and are they dragging you into?
Yeah, that's a very fun story. We actually built that side of the business for Shark Tank because we knew, okay, let's say we film in July. Our Kickstarter is over it was over in May. We're at that point in time, we're producing these things and we haven't even gotten them in yet. We actually got our first coolers in the week before we filmed for Shark Tank. So how are we supposed to get our revenue numbers into a position that's going to make us look great to the sharks? It's tough when you don't have inventory, when you just finished your Kickstarter, right? Our hands were kind of tied from that standpoint. But one thing that we realized was actually we made our product fully dye sublimatable, which basically means you can just run a print file on top of it. So you can put any graphic you'd like to on it. We did that for us because we wanted cool graphics. But then we realized, okay, wait a minute. We have a serious competitive advantage in that cooler space for custom embellished goods. And actually at that point in time, someone from Anheuser-Busch reached out to us wanting to do a custom good. And so we realized, wait a minute, this actually might be an extremely lucrative opportunity for us to get, hundreds of these things made at a time. So every order is not ones and twos, it's 300, sometimes up to the thousands of these at a time. And we're making them custom for them. They're fully printed with their logo. And we had a really good advantage in that space. And it helped us package ourselves, get the revenue number we need for Shark Tank. But it actually all started with us wanting to have cool graphics for ourselves and a random introduction from someone at Anheuser-Busch, which if that ever happens, that's a lucky break for sure.
Well, they say that luck is the meeting of preparation and opportunity. So let's
absolutely.
I've listened to many a podcast, one in particular on NPR, How I Built This, and he always asks these ultra successful founders, to what do you how much do you attribute your success to luck? And it's pretty rare they don't say at least half. So the question that I wanted to ask you is, once you got through this early testing phase of all the Facebook campaigns and you figured out that, okay, my ideal customer profile is this person over here, did revenue really accelerate after that because you kind of got it dialed in, or was it more of just steady growth the whole time?
Once we figured it out, it was a little more of a steady growth model. It didn't exactly explode overnight. I mean, it takes a minute to kind of onboard these things, to change up how you're collecting your creatives, to change up how you're messaging, how you're building your campaigns in Facebook, how you're building your funnel as a whole, email flows and everything. It's for us to move that needle, and I'd say it was more of a gradual build from there. And it's not even that one day we just decided, oh, now we know everything there is to know about this. It's more of just we gradually get better each day, each time we do something. We're even doing new stuff right now that we've never done before. We're trying a new optimization model out, but I think it just accelerated to a point alongside our growth to where we were able to see a little bit faster growth, but it was still steady. Yeah.
Quick question about Facebook. Did you begin by trying to do it in-house and figure things out yourself? So you're literally opening up Business Manager and creating campaigns, ad sets, and ad units, or did you immediately go to an agency? And if so, did you have to go through a lot of agencies? There's a lot of turmoil I found with companies and brands as they experience Facebook. There's a lot of failure. And I've also experienced with really big agencies that smaller brands don't get the attention of the larger brands. So they're at the right agency with the wrong people and they're not getting results. So what was it like for you to kind of figure Facebook out?
That's a great question. I would say that we didn't really come into a place of understanding e-commerce and really becoming successful at it until we started understanding how to run our own Facebook ads. We don't do it in-house right now. We partner, but in the beginning, we outsourced it to an ad company. We were fed a lot of information that we did not understand, and we buy into it, as most companies do. What are you supposed to do? Snap your fingers and become an e-commerce expert overnight? No, it takes time, and you have to trust people and believe people. And sometimes what they tell you is not necessarily true. And so we had a lot of volatility on some ad agencies early on, and I finally got to a point where I was tired of feeling vulnerable and tied to them and not understanding in the battles. And so I just decided I'm gonna use my online resources and learn how this stuff works myself. I'm gonna run this for a couple months, and then I'm gonna vet a company based on that understanding. And so now we actually work with a single person, and it's more of a partnership as opposed to an outsource. We come together, and our head of content is here, I'm here, and he's here in a meeting. And we're sitting there talking about campaigns from all three of those vantage points. We're setting structure and then figuring out things from all three of those perspectives. The guy who's going to collect it, the guy who, I've got access to obviously the resources and the direction of the company, and then the guy who's going to execute and give the specific insight. And so having that level of understanding internally, while also maybe if you want to have some, capacity outsourced and some brainstorming and some insight outsourced, that seemed to work well for us, because it's not a great feeling being a company where you've got a lot of things to worry about. You're just starting out and you don't know if you can trust your ad agency or your partner.
Yeah, that's great.
So you're now at a place where you've got traction, you've got some momentum. Let's talk about sales channels for a minute. I'm looking at Amazon now. I see your Casemate there with 8 reviews. So I'm guessing Amazon's not a big channel for you, and maybe that's an unauthorized seller selling that on Amazon.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry.
How'd they do well. But no, we opened up Amazon temporarily last holiday season just to see if there's anything, almost like testing the channel a little bit. Yeah. We kind of did our bare bone things. We didn't really spend a lot of time on it. We were more focused on our other channels, and just kind of without looking at it, it ended up pulling through very quickly. And so we saw a lot of promise there, but in an ideal world, we would already have that channel opened up and scaling. The world we're in right now is we have inventory shortages, which is a great problem to have, but it came down to a point where it does not make sense for us to open up a new channel that we're not going to be able to fulfill on quite yet, until we get ahead of the ball on our operations. Just a growing pains type thing. But we'll get to Amazon down the road without a doubt. That's going to be an exciting.
Are you a Shopify endeavor. Or are you guys like more enterprise at this point, like Oracle Cloud Commerce?
We're Shopify.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the inventory shortage, is this because of COVID, or is this because working capital, there's not enough of it to buy enough inventory to satisfy the sales velocity? Because obviously any product-based business, working capital is always an issue.
Right. Working capital is definitely an issue. We have a lot of good terms set up with our suppliers, and things are looking very good from that standpoint. The challenge is capacity at our factory and the speed at which they can scale, contrasted with the fact that we are opening up our wholesale channels a lot more. We actually just opened up Ace Hardware stores, which is great nationally. So we're really excited about that. To meet that type of volume, it's been a strain for sure. We're making it work. We're making it happen. It's just it takes time to build the supply chain out to be able to handle stuff like that.
Do you manufacture from one factory, one company that manufactures for you, or do you diversify that across different companies, different continents?
We diversify very heavily. It was to a fault previously, but now it's definitely helping out in a big way.
And all Asia or other places as well?
Asia and El Salvador, Central America. We're trying to get a little closer. The international freight market is very volatile, as anybody involved in importing will tell you. So we're trying to just reduce the distance between where it has to come from to us.
Yeah.
So
let's go down the Ace Hardware rabbit hole for a minute, as I'm sure there's other brand owners that are listening who are thinking, man, I'd love to get into retail. So walk us through, kind of how did that start? How long did it take? Just tell us the story of how you eventually got on the shelves.
Yeah, I honestly would not be the best one equipped to tell that story. I'm not gonna butcher it. Yeah, our head of sales, Austin, brokered that deal and had a great relationship. It's one of those processes I know outside looking in, and just kind of from a management side, it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of relationship nurturing. It basically, you just have to be there and already known by that person, already have the contact for when that opportunity does arise. So as soon as that, kind of like you're saying with luck, like when preparation meets opportunity, you have to be kind of ready for as soon as that opportunity comes up. It's plug and play, you're there, but you have to build that relationship on the front end. You have to have those independent sales reps that may know more about, selling into these types of retail accounts than you do. It's a big game to learn. And so obviously having the right partner that can help you, understand how to play it is very important.
Do you see wholesale eventually eclipsing the volume of product that you're moving? Do you see wholesale becoming a bigger channel than your DTC channel?
From a revenue standpoint, it'll be very close long term. From a quantity of unit standpoint, it's already there from wholesale, and then our custom channel, which, to kind of break it down, our B2B side of the business does about 40% of our revenue. And our B2B is split up between about 50% custom and 50% wholesale. So
I got to see that custom as a huge, huge opportunity. And the minute you mentioned that Anheuser-Busch got a hold of you, my eyes would have almost been like, do we pivot entirely into that? Is our business just entirely providing this product to all of these brands and allowing them to sell it and not have to worry about customer acquisition? I don't need to worry about, there's a lot of things I don't need to worry about anymore. What I need to do is just lock down more and more brands who want this product.
Yeah, we definitely made a full income stream out of it. I wouldn't say it's viable to be our sole source, but it pairs with our cash flow model extremely nicely. When we have wholesale, which has its own cash cycle, we have e-commerce, which has its own cash cycle. Then you have the custom side of the business, which is a lot more, accelerates it, I guess, up front, a lot more prepaid, because our biggest fear would be, let's make this custom good for someone. And then they don't, they don't have any skin in the game, and then they don't pay or they don't want it at the end of it, and they were stuck with it. We can't do anything. So it really, the way it floats our entire system is extremely valuable. And the scale is great on it. I just think it might be tough to make that the sole income stream. But it's something that we definitely do it.
The fact that you've got multiple business, you have multiple revenue streams for a single product, I think is also really impressive.
Right. And as we're building out more products too, to have more places to plug it in, it's a very good asset for us. And just kind of going back to last year with COVID, had we not had the e-commerce channel, we would not probably still be here. So it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff going on, but that diversification, I'd say, is very valuable to our organic growth.
So you have just 6 people, I think you told me before we started rolling on the team, currently 6 full-timers, and then you have a number of interns. I think you said 4, maybe?
4 interns, and we'll actually have 1 more full-time this summer. Okay. But yeah, not a very big team.
How many hours a week are you working right now?
I'd say, about 50. Nothing crazy. Nothing, not the entrepreneur 80 I used to have to. Yeah. I'm at a position where my each hour can go farther than it ever has, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah. The joke among entrepreneurs is, the great thing about being an entrepreneur is you have the freedom to work 24 hours a day. That's entrepreneurial freedom.
It's like part-time for Trent.
Yeah.
It's my monthly goal, but it's his weekly target is my monthly goal.
Yeah, no, I'm about 50 hours. I'm about 50, something like that. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about DTC. So from what you've told us so far, Logan, it does sound like your largest source of traffic is, or at least it was, maybe it still is, Facebook ads. Is that still the case?
It is.
Okay.